Have you ever felt that strange feeling when the doorbell rings and you realize someone wants to come in? They're here for a visit, to talk, to spend time with you. But inside, there's this discomfort, almost like an urge to just say no. It's not that you hate people or are mad at the world. It's just that you don't enjoy having visitors. You love your quiet space, your undisturbed routine, and the calm energy of being alone. If this sounds familiar, take a deep breath. You're not alone, and you're not wrong for feeling this way. In this video, we're going to dive into something many people don't openly admit: the discomfort some of us feel when someone steps into our personal space. We're going to talk about why some people just can't handle visitors, and why that's actually a perfectly natural response, possibly tied to something much deeper within you. So stay tuned, because by the end, you might see things from a new perspective and realize that this is more about your psychological development than any flaw in your character. Before we get into that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Do you also feel uncomfortable when someone shows up at your door uninvited? I'd love to hear if you've ever had that feeling. Have you ever wondered why some people are energized by social gatherings, parties, or house visits, while you feel drained just thinking about it? Or maybe you enjoy chatting and have great relationships, but as soon as someone enters your home, you feel an almost physical urge to retreat. You don't have anything against them. You just can't stand the presence of another person in your space. There's actually a psychological reason for that, and it might surprise you. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, made two terms famous that most of us are familiar with: introversion and extroversion. But here's the catch: these terms don't really describe whether or not someone is shy or social. What Jung was talking about wasn't social behavior. It was about the movement of psychic energy. For an extrovert, energy flows outward. The outside world energizes them. Social interactions, noise, and external stimulation are their sources of strength. But for an introvert, it's almost the opposite. They recharge from within. Their energy comes from solitude, quiet, and reflection. When they're too exposed to the external world through long conversations, unexpected visits, noise, or distractions, their mind begins to shut down. It's not out of rudeness. It's a deep psychological need. This is the key. Not wanting visitors isn't a social shortcoming. It's a direct reflection of how your energy is structured. If you're more introverted, and many people are even, without realizing it, your home becomes more than just a place. It becomes a sanctuary. It's where your energy recenters, where your psyche finds balance. When someone enters that space, even with the best of intentions, they're unknowingly disturbing the quiet work you've been doing in that moment. You have to activate your persona, your social mask. This pulls you away from your true self, and it's exhausting. Jung said that introversion isn't a conscious choice. It's a natural disposition of the soul. When you push against that natural need to be alone, it leads to conflict and mental exhaustion. Some people might say, "Oh, you're just reserved. You don't like company." But here's what they don't realize. What looks like coldness or disinterest is often just self-protection, a way of guarding your inner peace. Jung called this process the shadow. The shadow holds everything you've suppressed: fears, old wounds, things you've hidden from yourself. Imagine someone rings your doorbell. You sit down to chat, But instead of feeling relaxed, you feel uneasy. You can't explain why. The truth is, the presence of that person may be triggering something in your unconscious mind, a hidden part of yourself that hasn't been fully addressed yet. That's why Jung said, what you do not bring into consciousness will appear in your life as fate. And sometimes this fate shows up as discomfort with social interactions, even something as simple as a visit. That feeling you get is not about the other person. It's about the energy they bring into your space. They're unknowingly disturbing something deep inside of you. And here's another twist. Your shadow doesn't just hold repressed emotions. It also contains parts of you that haven't fully developed. Talents, potential, abilities, and truths that you haven't yet acknowledged. So when you constantly push yourself into social situations, you deny these parts of yourself the chance to grow. If you often feel the urge to be alone, to avoid visitors, it could be that your shadow is calling for you to honor your need for quiet. The more you listen to this inner call, the more you make space for yourself to grow and become more authentic. Imagine how it feels when you come home after a busy day. The door closes behind you. You take off your shoes, take a deep breath, and finally, you can just be. That moment is your soul recharging. In Jungian psychology, your home is more than just a physical space. It's a reflection of your inner world. Each room in your house symbolizes a different aspect of your psyche. Your bedroom, for example, is your space for intimacy. The living room is where you present your social mask to the world. Your kitchen represents nourishment, both emotional and physical. The basement is where your unconscious mind operates, and the attic holds your higher thoughts. The front door, it's the boundary between your inner world and the outside world. When someone crosses that threshold, they're not just entering your physical space, they're entering your inner world, and your unconscious mind recognizes that. For sensitive introverts, especially those on the path of individuation, which is the process of becoming your true self, that can feel draining. The house is a mirror of your soul. When it feels disturbed by external energy, it could mean that something within you is still in the process of healing and growth. Jung didn't believe that our homes are walls to protect us from the outside world. Instead, they serve as a mirror of our inner selves. If your home feels like a peaceful, quiet refuge, it's a sign that something inside of you is in harmony. But if you feel that visitors upset your calm, perhaps it's a message from your unconscious, signaling that you're not yet ready to open up fully, and that's okay. Protecting your home means protecting yourself. Being mindful of your boundaries is a crucial step in your personal development. If you've ever felt guilty for not wanting to have visitors or for preferring to be alone, know that you're not isolating yourself. You're simply honoring the sacred space where your soul finds peace and renewal. It's not about avoiding people. It's about preserving your inner integrity. Have you ever found yourself smiling politely when you'd rather just enjoy the silence? Maybe you've made coffee, engaged in small talk, and acted friendly, all while secretly wishing the visit would end. It might feel harsh to admit, but it's a common experience, and you might even feel guilty afterward, as though you're being ungrateful or heartless. But don't worry, Carl Jung helps us understand why this happens. Jung referred to this part of us as the persona. The persona is the social mask we wear when we interact with the world. It's the version of ourselves that fits into society's expectations, whether that's with work, family, or even when we're hosting guests. It's not a false version of ourselves, but it's not the full picture either. It's just one part of Osta part that works in public. The issue arises when we have to wear this mask in the one place where we should be able to relax and truly be ourselves, our homes. For people who are more introverted or sensitive, especially those with a strong persona, hosting visitors can be incredibly draining. When someone enters your home, you suddenly have to perform, to carefully choose your words, control your body language, worry about the state of your house, manage the length of the conversation. All of that takes a lot of psychic energy. Jung said, the persona is necessary. It helps us function in society. But when we mistake the persona for our true self, the soul begins to cry out. It's no wonder that having guests over can feel like such a burden. It's not about disliking the people or their company. It's about having to shift away from your true, authentic self to meet external expectations. Many people spend years playing this social role, even at home. They host guests, make small talk, and maintain appearances, all while feeling mentally and emotionally exhausted. But here's the truth. You don't have to live like this. You have the right to be yourself in your own space. You have the right to say no to visitors and protect your energy. You can decline invitations without feeling guilty. You can choose to stay home, to be unavailable. Because sometimes the most important thing you can do is listen to your own needs. This is not selfishness, self-care. If you feel like you just want to be alone, it's not a sign of laziness or emotional instability. It's your soul telling you that it needs space to breathe. And in moments like this, that's okay. We live in a culture that tends to value socializing, constant activity, and being present in every situation. But Carl Jung had a different perspective. For him, the desire to withdraw from others wasn't a sign of weakness or social failure. It was often the first step toward something much more important. Individuation is the process of becoming your true self, the person you were born to be, not the version shaped by societal pressures, not the persona you present to the world. And this journey often begins when you withdraw from external noise and focus inward. That's why Jung saw introversion and solitude as necessary for personal development. The path to individuation, he believed, is paved with moments of retreat, reflection, and self-discovery. You might feel like the world demands your presence through social events, family gatherings, work obligations, but if you feel the urge to withdraw, it could be a sign that your soul is calling you to reconnect with yourself, to step away from distractions and listen to what your inner voice is saying. In the silence, you begin to discover parts of yourself you might have overlooked, parts that were buried under the weight of everyday life. Loneliness doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being unable to express what truly matters to you. That's why it's so important to honor your need for solitude. When you're constantly surrounded by noise and people, it's hard to hear your own thoughts, let alone connect with your deeper self. But in the stillness, that's where true self-expression can begin, Jung said. What you do not bring into consciousness will appear in your life as fate. This means that if you don't make time to connect with yourself, to look at the parts of you that are hidden or suppressed, they will continue to show up in ways that feel out of your control. You might feel drained after social events or uneasy when someone enters your home. These are signals that something inside you needs attention. And here's the important part. The discomfort you feel around visitors isn't a sign that you're wrong or antisocial. It's a sign that your inner world is trying to protect itself, that you need quiet to process, to heal, and to integrate the parts of yourself that you may have overlooked. Jung also taught that the home is a powerful symbol of the soul. It's not just a physical space, it reflects your inner world. When your home feels calm and peaceful, it's a sign that you've found balance within yourself. But when the presence of others disrupts that calm, it could be a sign that your psyche is still processing something. Your home is sacred ground, a space where you reconnect with your deepest self, and that's why it's perfectly okay to not want visitors. It's not about shutting people out. It's about respecting your own boundaries. Your home, your solitude, your energy, these are all precious parts of your being, and protecting them allows you to stay connected with your true self. It's not about avoiding the world. It's about protecting the space that helps you stay whole and centered. When you respect your need for solitude, you are respecting the very core of who you are. And this is something that many people overlook. We live in a world where the pace is fast, and the pressure to be constantly available and social can be overwhelming. But Carl Jung teaches us that sometimes the most important thing we can do is listen to ourselves and honor our need for quiet. You might have noticed the inner resistance when you decline an invitation, or when you say no to a visit. And while the world might not always understand your choice, that's okay. The most important thing is that you understand it. Your soul, like everyone else's, has its own rhythm, and sometimes that rhythm demands peace, introspection, and space to breathe. So, how do you find balance between this need for solitude and the natural human need for connection? Jung believed that a healthy life is about integrating both aspects, your inner world and your outer world. It's not about isolating yourself completely or cutting yourself off from others, but about learning to respect your boundaries without guilt. The key is to create rituals and spaces where you can recharge and protect your energy. It could be something as simple as a walk in nature, a quiet morning routine, or a moment of stillness with a good book. These small actions help preserve your sense of peace and prevent you from feeling depleted by external demands. At the same time, you can also create intentional moments to connect with people who nourish you, not people who drain you, but those who respect your boundaries and bring positive energy into your life. The balance comes when you make time for both solitude and connection, but you do so in a way that feels aligned with your true self. It's about listening to your internal cues and not forcing yourself to be on when you don't feel ready. And this is the part that many people struggle with. We've been conditioned to believe that we should always be social, always present, always participating. But respecting your boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you It allows you to conserve your energy so that when you do interact with others, it's from a place of authenticity and strength, not from exhaustion or obligation. Jung said that individuation, the process of becoming your true self, often begins in solitude. It's in those moments when you withdraw from the world, slow down, and reconnect with your inner self. that you can truly begin to discover who you are. You start to understand your fears, your strengths, your desires, and your unique gifts. Individuation isn't a rejection of the world. It's a process of becoming whole, of integrating the different parts of yourself, your light and your shadow. And solitude is where this integration happens. It's in the silence that you come face to face with yourself, with all your complexities, your contradictions, and your potential. So, if you're someone who enjoys being alone, who prefers peace and quiet, know that this isn't a flaw. It's a necessary part of your growth. And if you sometimes decline an invitation or choose not to host visitors, don't feel guilty. You're not isolating yourself. You're giving yourself the space to grow, to reflect, and to become more of who you truly are. And here's a liberating truth that Jung believed. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your need to be alone. You don't have to justify your solitude or feel guilty for wanting peace. Your soul has its own rhythm, and it deserves to be respected. Think of the hermit, the archetype that Jung referred to as a symbol of inner wisdom and self-knowledge. The hermit doesn't isolate themselves out of loneliness or despair. They withdraw to listen to their own inner voice, to confront their shadows, and to discover the wisdom that lies deep within. The hermit lives in silence, not because they want to escape the world, but because they know that only in stillness can they find their true light. And this archetype is within all of us. When you feel the call for solitude, it's your inner hermit asking you to slow down, to step back, and to reconnect with yourself. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to lose touch with this inner voice, to get swept up in the noise and distractions. But honoring your need for solitude is not just an act of self-care. It's an act of courage. It's an act of self-love. It's saying, I need time for myself, because that's how I become the best version of myself. The next time you decline a visit or retreat to your quiet space, remember the hermit within you. He represents the wisdom that only comes from reflection, from confronting your shadows, and from listening to your soul. The hermit is not a lonely figure, but a wise one, someone who knows that true connection with others starts with a deep connection with oneself. So, embrace the hermit within you. Trust that your need for quiet is not a weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-awareness. And when you honor that need, you allow yourself the space to grow, to heal, and to become more of who you truly are. And remember, the world may not always understand your need for solitude, but that's okay. You don't need to justify your choices. As Jung said, individuation means becoming true to yourself, even when the world demands otherwise. Honor your inner rhythm and know that in your solitude, you are creating the conditions for your most authentic self to emerge. So, next time you close the door to visitors or decide to spend a quiet evening at home, do so with confidence. You're not isolating yourself. You're protecting your energy, nurturing your soul, and giving yourself the space to become whole. And that, in the end, is the greatest gift you can give yourself.